And now, his view, an editorial opinion by Bill Martin.
Our premier and about 8 or 9 others are off to Washington this week to talk to U.S. leaders about how the proposed 25% tariff on Canadian goods will actually be very costly to the United States, and particularly to people who voted for Trump and his election promise to bring down the cost of living. Any thinking person would quickly and easily have understood that if you add a 25% tax on your imports, you're going to be adding to the cost. Of course, in typical Trump fashion, he lied. He told American voters it would be a tax on Canada and that he would use all that money to pay other federal bills. The second part is somewhat true. Trump will likely take that windfall of cash to pay another round of massive tax cuts on the richest of Americans. But he left out the part that importers would simply add the tax to their cost of doing business and increase their prices to U.S. consumers. So much for an informed electorate. And that's not all. Trump underestimated the Canadian response. He assumed that Canadian voters are just as gullible and that we would just roll over and accept it. Oh, how wrong he is. I think Trump has done us a favor, though. He assumed we were just like Americans. He even posed the idea of making us the 51st state of the Union, so he could access our wealth of fresh water and extensive natural resources. In fact, the soon-to-be-announced U.S. dictator has awakened a sleeping giant in us. No, we are not a giant of a population, but we are a giant of potential. It's not about Canadian pride or nationalism. It's about right and wrong. And when a country unites around right, it usually finds more than it first sought. By making it more difficult to sell our wares to the U.S. market, Trump has forced us to look for new customers. And lo and behold, there are billions of dollars in revenue right across our provincial borders, and billions more in a very friendly environment in Europe. Unlike the myopic Trump, who thinks there is nothing outside the United States, we are seeing a whole world out there, a friendly world that generally shares our vision of what is right and wrong. We are being reminded that our country was founded on European principles, and our population flourished with European immigrants. The European market is not foreign, it's family. Yes, Trump and his stars and stripes will find out that Canada is not to be toyed with. We don't take kindly to bullies, and we don't cower in response to threats. Our leaders know the truth, and they are now working together as one. And once they see the true potential of Canada without a U.S. umbrella blocking out the sun, we will find a welcoming world that starts at home and looks to long-lost relatives to cement the family. Meanwhile, Trump will be wondering where the world went. And I don't expect him to come back to us begging. He doesn't know the meaning of contrition nor forgiveness. But I do expect Americans will miss us, and they will apologize right after they toss him out. At least, that's my view. I'm Bill Martin.
You've been listening to His View by Bill Martin. Listen every weekday at noon, 6 p.m., and midnight, right here on Radio from Hope Center.